What's up, Eager to Pleasers? Welcome back to another episode of the Eager to Please podcast. We are rounding out our final week on avoidance, and so I wanted to share some interesting research I found on the topic and how I related it to my own personal journey. Maybe something I say will resonate with you too. When I was at my lowest point in my marriage, I finally bit the bullet and started speaking to a therapist. I say finally bit the bullet because for years I had poo-pooed the idea of going to therapy. Having been forced to go as a kid when my father passed away left an awful taste in my mouth. I wanted nothing to do with it. Doing something you didn't want to do and not understanding why you were even there to begin with isn't anyone's idea of fun. I refused to admit that I needed to talk to someone about anything that was going on in my life. And so I just kept pushing things down deeper. It was from my therapist that I learned I had post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It never even occurred to me that could be my diagnosis. In fact, I naively related PTSD to those who fought in war, since they had experienced such a heightened degree of trauma. I say that because I know my grandfather struggled with it. But after learning this is what I struggled with some 30 years after my own tragic events happened, it made much more sense. As a child not understanding any of this, it's no wonder I didn't remember much about my high school or early adult life. I had compartmentalized those events and never thought I would have to deal with them again. I was the walking definition of avoidance. As many doctors' offices require you to do when you're a new patient, you have to fill out a boatload of paperwork. One of those assessments I was asked to take was the PCL-5, or the PTSD checklist for the DSM-5. This checklist is scored by adding up the ratings from 20 questions on a 0 to 4 scale. 0 representing not at all, and 4 representing extremely. So the lowest score you can have is 0, and the highest score you can have is 80. According to the National Center for PTSD, a total score of 33 or higher may indicate severe PTSD and suggest that the patient needs further assessment to confirm a diagnosis. And my score was well above that at 48. I had to look up what all this meant, as a lot of those acronyms are highly clinical and way over my head. So let me help break this down for all of us. The PCL-5 stands for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Checklist, for DSM-5. It's a self-report instrument used to assess the severity of PTSD symptoms based on the criteria outlined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Whew! That's a mouthful. And while this checklist is not a diagnostic tool on its own, it's a good indicator that there's an underlying issue that needs to be sorted out. So when I heard that I had elevated PTSD symptoms, I started digging into what that even meant. I found on psychiatry.org that PTSD is a condition that may occur in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event or series of traumatic events. The individual often experiences the event or events as emotionally or physically harmful or life-threatening. Some examples include abuse, natural disasters, serious accidents, terrorist acts, war and combat exposure, intimate partner violence, and medical illnesses. Now, obviously, that's not an inclusive list, but that just gives us an idea of some of the things that could be contributing to PTSD symptoms. For a person to be diagnosed with PTSD, symptoms need to have occurred for more than 1 month and must cause significant distress or problems in the individual's daily functioning. PTSD often occurs with other related conditions such as depression, substance abuse, memory problems, and other physical and mental health problems. I also learned, and this is where it becomes super relevant to this month's topic, that there are 4 categories of PTSD. Are you ready for them? Intrusion, changes in reactivity, changes in mood, and, drum roll please, avoidance. There it is, our key word. Let me elaborate a little on each one. Intrusion. It can come in the form of unwanted and involuntary thoughts like repeated memories, distressing dreams, or flashbacks of traumatic events where the person feels like they're vividly reliving that traumatic experience. Changes in reactivity may show up as being irritable and having angry outbursts, behaving recklessly or in a self-destructive way, being overly watchful of their surroundings in a suspicious way, being easily startled, or having problems concentrating or sleeping. Changes in mood can show up in individuals with PTSD as depressive symptoms, like feeling sad or detached, or having a lack of interest in activities and or people that you used to enjoy being around. That was 100% me. And lastly, avoidance. This may include avoiding people, places, activities, objects, situations that trigger distressing memories. People try to avoid remembering or thinking about the event. Additionally, they may resist talking about what happened or how they feel about it. Oftentimes, these behaviors lead to dysfunction in everyday life. Also 100% me. You've heard me use the word control now quite a few times in various episodes, for good or for bad, and it is what it is, but the word control, I've learned, is also buried in the concept of avoidance. As humans, we like to have control. It makes us feel safe, and I guess for lack of a better word, it makes us feel powerful. But what I've learned is that avoidance only offers a short-term solution because the root cause has not been addressed. It's just been circumvented altogether. Let me explain. Let's say, for example, I was having an issue with the way my spouse was leaving his boxers on the floor in the bedroom. Instead of having a conversation about it, I choose to pick up the boxers myself, become increasingly resentful, and over time, this creates bigger issues in the relationship. The short-term solution was that I just picked up the boxers and put them in the hamper. But the longer-term outcome is now I've created the expectation for him that I'm always going to pick up his stuff when he just throws it on the floor. He thinks it's perfectly fine, but inside, I'm getting more and more frustrated that I have to clean up his mess. See what I mean about avoiding the situation? I'm sure there's a situation that you could insert here to relate. The cycle can become self-perpetuating, where avoidance tactics create more situations that require further avoidance, leading to a sense of feeling trapped. And that's why I believe knowledge is power. The more you take the time to learn about yourself, the better off you'll be in figuring out what serves you well. So equip yourself with the tools that you need to grow and become the best version of you. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I can't wait to have you join us for our next episode when we're back with a new theme and new song. We'll see you then.